Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories, Episode number 7, January 2026. Psychics, Mediums, Clairvoyants, and Omens. Sponsored by Caselit.com. The show starts now. Good evening, and welcome to Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel. Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel is sponsored by Caselit.com. Caselit.com design your uniquely perfect and very affordable phone case with AI. Create your stunning, one-of-a-kind phone case design using the power of artificial intelligence. From abstract art to nature scenes, Caselit offers a wide variety of Apple, Samsung, and Google phone cases. Caselit.com brings your vision to life. I got mine. Get yours. Shop Caselit.com. That's CASELYT. Caselit. Caselit.com. Now, from Doc Moore's studio, high up in the mountains of Central Oahu, Hawaii, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Moore. Aloha and welcome. I'm Stephen B. Doc Moore Sr., and for the next 30 minutes, we will explore psychics, mediums, clairvoyants, and omens. Tonight we'll examine these topics through literature research, historical accounts, scientific inquiry, religious text, and personal testimony. We'll explore these actions and activities that are one of the most debated and unsettling subjects in human history. Are these abilities real? Are they misunderstood psychological phenomena? Or are they dangerous deceptions, warnings not to be ignored? Yes, tonight we will examine these questions through literature and science, history and religion, and real-world testimony. Now we'll begin with scientific and academic perspectives involved with psychics and mediums. Scientifically, we look at parapsychology, the study of psychic phenomena. Parapsychology attempts to explain and verify claims of abilities such as seeing the future or interpreting omens through reproducible evidence. Now, throughout history, several well-known individuals have claimed or were believed to possess psychic or mediumistic abilities. Here's a few. Nostradamus, a French writer, became famous for predicting future events centuries beyond his lifetime through cryptic quatrains. Pythia, known as the Oracle of Delphi, served as the high priestess of Apollo and was believed to communicate divine messages through the dead. Edgar Cayce conducted psychic readings while in trance states, often providing health-related guidance. And Anna Eve Fay claimed to communicate with the dead on behalf of those seeking answers. Now, despite popular belief, the scientific community does not recognize psychic abilities as proven or verifiable. Parapsychologists continue to research extrasensory perception, or ESP, but results remain weak and inconclusive. Studies conducted by universities in both the United States and the United Kingdom examine mediumship and ESP under controlled conditions. the findings consistently fail to demonstrate reliable psychic capability. Now here's a controversial case. An article published in Psychology Today on August 13, 2023, described a controversial parapsychological chess experiment. A living chess grandmaster reportedly played against a deceased chess master, with a medium relaying moves from the dead player. Analysis by professional chess experts concluded that both sides demonstrated championship-level skill. While this is intriguing, the single event does not constitute peer-reviewed proof of psychic communication. To date, there remains no conclusive scientific evidence confirming that psychics and mediums can communicate with the dead or reveal omens. Now, on the other hand, debunking psychic claims. Many individuals dedicated their lives to exposing fraudulent psychics. Most notably, Harry Houdini attended seances to uncover deception. Houdini exposed sleight of hand tricks used to exploit grieving families and publicly denounced psychic frauds who profited from false claims of spirit communication. In fact, Houdini once told his wife that he would communicate with her beyond the grave. He would use a secret phrase known only to the two of them, and that is Rosabella Believe, Rosabella being a song both of them loved. Now, despite years of seance, 10 in fact, always on Halloween, Rosabella held seances but never heard from Houdini. The messages never came. Now let's talk about definitions. A psychic claims sensory abilities beyond normal perception, including telepathy, precognition, or mind reading. A medium claims the ability to communicate with spirits or the dead, often through seances, spirit writing, or tools such as Ouija boards. A clairvoyant claims clear vision of future events through extrasensory perception, often referred to as a sixth sense. Divination refers to rituals used to interpret signs. An omen is a perceived supernatural sign believed to foretell future events. Often associated with astrology, astronomy, animal behavior, or symbolic occurrences. Now, as we get into these definition and explanations, here's some trivia about mediums and psychics. Here's a question. What percent of people in America think psychics and mediums can communicate with the dead? And the answer is less than 30% believe that they can communicate with deceased persons. How much do you think psychics and mediums make? How much money do you think they make? Psychic and medium community makes approximately $2 billion annually in the U.S. What state in the United States has the greatest number of psychics and mediums making a living doing that type of work? Florida has the largest number of working psychics and mediums as a profession. Florida also has the highest numbers of mediums. California and New York rank second and third with psychics. And Texas ranks fourth for psychic residency. One more point about psychics and mediums. Supreme Court of the United States has determined that psychic readings and mediums are protected by the First Amendment. Still, psychic and mediums have been sued by clients because of the excessive costs of the information psychics claim to provide. These are removing curses and talking to the dead loved ones. So much for a trivia for psychics and mediums. Let's get back to what the literature says about psychics and mediums, clairvoyants, and omens. I did a literature research and review and dug up definitions and examples. A psychic is one who informs of having sensory powers beyond normal senses that enable an individual to be able to perform acts such as teleportation, mind reading, and precognition. A medium is one who can communicate with spirits, the dead, and living people. Their means of communication include seances, Ouija boards, spirit writing, and other practices. What is the difference between a psychic and a medium? A psychic typically has the sensitivity or power to predict the future and to know intimate knowledge of living persons. However, a medium has the ability to communicate with the spirits of the dead or to act as a liaison between living and dead. The difference is a medium cannot predict the future. A person who claims to be clairvoyant or sees the future has the ability to gain information through ESP or extrasensory perception, which is also known as the sixth sense. Divination is a means of seeing something through a ritual such as reading signs. And an omen is a paranormal event that involves foretelling the future that may include divine messages through astrology, astronomy, animal entrails, bird flights, bones, all to reveal a future event. But what about the religious text? What does the religious text says that scientists don't say? The Old Testament readings, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 26 states that you shall not interpret omens or tell fortunes. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 to 12 indicate that there shall not be found among you anyone who interprets omens or sorcerer, a charmer or medium, who practice divination or interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist who consults the dead. New Testament, Mark chapter 13, verse 22, false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Now these verses, while there are more, they state that both in the Old and New Testaments, people should not turn to psychic mediums, fortune tellers, to read omens or to speak with the dead or to learn the future. God forbids these practices because evil spirits will deceive the inquirer and lead to the loss of their souls. The point is, all these verses tell you to beware of being misled and only believe in God and have faith for assurance and confidence. Or what do people think in general about psychics and mediums and omens? I'll have the results of a survey I conducted after a word from our sponsor. Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel is sponsored by Caselet.com. Caselet.com. Design your uniquely perfect and very affordable phone case with AI. Create your stunning, one-of-a-kind phone case design using the power of artificial intelligence. From abstract art to nature scenes, Caselet offers a wide variety of Apple, Samsung, and Google phone cases. Caselet.com brings your vision to life. I got mine. Get yours. Shop Caselet.com. That's Caselet. Caselet. Caselet.com. Now, back to Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel. Topic: Psychics, Mediums, and Omens. All right, welcome back. A survey is a good tool to understand what people think about a topic. Now, I conducted an informal survey on this given topic. I asked random selected people this question: do you believe in psychic, mediums, clairvoyants, and if they can reveal omens? Here's just a few responses. And as usual, the respondents of all surveys will remain anonymous. No, I don't believe in psychics, mediums, none of them. Another one says scientists have not proven mediums and psychics are believable. I do believe some people are psychics and can see the future. The ones on TV seem legit. My husband and I are skeptics. We just don't believe it. We think they are misleading. Another person says, I guess I do believe in psychics. My mom used to say her palmist, and then she always got money, especially when we needed groceries. I don't think there are a few people who have psychic skills, but there are ones who actually have helped the police. I don't believe in psychics. How come they couldn't predict 9/11? Oh, here's another response. I do believe that we each have the ability to discern things more than others. In my ohana, the eldest female will receive a gift. She will be able to see things before they occur, have vivid dreams of present or future occurrences that actually come to pass, and see visions or sense when someone or something good or bad around them are prophetic concerning one thing or another. Another says, I don't believe people can see into the future, but there are people who can guess about the future. And this last one had a response to a survey, and in addition provided the story that informed her decision on omens, psychics, and mediums. And I'll present her insight after a quick word from our sponsor. Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel is sponsored by Caselet.com. Caselet.com. Design your uniquely perfect and very affordable phone case with AI. Caselet.com. That's Caselet. Caselet.com. Welcome back. We were discussing the results of my survey questions. Now I have a very interesting specific response, and I'll read it for you and then share you her words afterwards. Hello, Doc Moore. I share my story with you to answer your questions about omens specifically and to share my opinion on them. I believe omens are real and can occur to people on both spiritual and physical levels. Some people are psychic mediums and more sensitive to it than others and know what to look for, while others may receive omens that they choose not to think too deeply about. Either way, I think my sleep paralysis was an omen to the car accident I'm going to describe. I think the demons are able to predict the future, and the evil spirit or demon try to use that prediction of the future to instill fear in me, to steal my sense of peace and terrorize me. This is because this is what demons do. They try to steal and destroy people in any way and every way possible. However, the demon or spirit in my experience failed thanks to Yeshua. If I receive an omen again, I will just pray on it and try not to overthink. Personally, I am of the mind to put everything in God's hand and go with the flow. Now, I'm going to share this powerful response, this story from this young lady, and you're going to hear it in her own words about a severe multi-vehicle incident that in her nighttime sleeping was awakening to a very, very scary warning. She believes the experience was not a psychic omen, but a spiritual attack that was defeated by her faith. Take a listen.
Hello, Doc Moore. This is a true story, and it happened to me while I was living in Hawaii. I don't recall what year it was, but I had just moved out of my parents' house in Wahiawa and was living alone for the first time. I only moved to the next town over, into a small townhouse in Mililani. At the time, I was working my first nursing job at a skilled nursing facility in Pololo Valley, and I had to be at work the next morning. So it was a Friday night, and I was in bed pretty early. I have always been an easy sleeper, and I fell asleep quickly and stayed asleep all night. That was until the early morning hour while it was still pitch dark outside. I was asleep on my back, my arms down by the sides of my body, legs uncrossed, and with my blanket tucked up to my neck and chin. In my sleep, I felt a pressure come over me. Not a heavy pressure, but enough to wake me out of my sleep and notice it. It reminded me of how it feels when a large cat lays down on you and makes it hard to move around, but except without the warmth of a cat. In addition to the pressure, it also felt like my body and limbs were heavy and numbed. I opened my eyes, unable to move my head and my body. I saw the ceiling. Nothing was in my room from what I could see out of my peripherals. No ghosts, no moving shadows, nothing or no one sitting on my chest and peering at me, like I'd heard in my dad's old ghost stories. But just in my ears, I heard a voice quietly telling me, "You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die." 3 times, just like that. It sounded like a female voice speaking flatly in my ears. After I heard these words, still feeling paralyzed, I prayed silently in my head, saying, "I belong to Jesus Christ, and there's nothing more powerful or nothing powerful enough to get through him to harm me." And this was a long time ago, so I don't remember what exactly I said. It was something along those lines. Immediately afterwards, I felt peaceful, and I was able to move my arms and legs, and I rolled over to my side and fell right back asleep, as if nothing supernatural had just taken place. My alarm went off at 5 a.m., and I got out of bed. I put on my scrubs, I did my work morning routine, and stepped out of my home. I threw my lunchbox and gym bag into the passenger seat of my car, which at the time was a 2012 Honda Civic, and I got on the road. So I conveniently lived near the entrance to and exit of the H2 highway, and that morning I was getting onto the ramp leading to the H2 when a box truck in front of me suddenly and without warning came to a stop. I frantically stomped the brakes of my car and came to an extremely close stop as well, but without hitting the vehicle in front of me. Behind me was a truck, and this truck just crushed up the back of my little car while simultaneously pushing my car forward into the rear of the box truck that was in front of me. And for a moment, my car with me in it was about to become like a squeezed accordion. And had the box truck in front of me not pulled forward, I might have been just like an accordion being squeezed together. But God kept me in his favor because I got out of my car completely unscathed, even though my Honda now resembled a soda can that has been stamped on. I called my parents and I called my older brother because he was actually stationed at Schofield Barracks at the time. And for those who don't know, Wahila, Schofield Barracks, and the part of Mililani that I was living in, they're only a few minutes drive away from each other. So my family got to me pretty quickly. And I think about this incident sometimes over the years, and I thank the Lord for keeping me safe. It wasn't until a few days after the accident that I had remembered about the sleep paralysis and the voice telling me I was going to die. Incredibly, on the morning of the accident, I wasn't thinking at all about my sleep paralysis experience. It seemed I had forgotten all about it, and I didn't remember it until days later. I would like to add that I have never had sleep paralysis before this happened, and to this day, it's never happened again. I never played with Ouija boards or used psychics or anything to deliberately invite an unwanted presence into my life or into my home. For a long time afterwards, I wouldn't sleep on my back. But then I realized that with God's divine power and protection, I had nothing to be afraid of. I have always believed in Jesus, who I now know as Yeshua. But in 2019, I decided to get baptized as an adult. I had previously been baptized as an infant, which I thank my parents for. But as an adult, I decided I wanted to get baptized again, so I did that. And I just feel like I'm very spiritually protected at all times and everywhere that I go. I don't know what brought the sleep paralysis or who or what held me down and spoke to me or why. But I do know that Yeshua protected me that night from an evil entity's attack, spiritual attack, and kept me safe from physical harm. And I believe and I know that if you call upon his name, that's Yeshua or Jesus, surrender your life, walk with him, and put your faith in him, he will do the same for you.
Now, that was a very powerful, powerful story. Extremely powerful. This young lady's point was very detailed, and it was very good in how she believed in the power of God's love and protection played into her safety. It's a pretty good story, and I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Now, in my book, Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories, I explore these themes. This particular theme, this topic of psychics and omens and mediums. And I explore these themes through fiction, inspired by real causes and real cases, such as the Haunted Rectory. A psychic medium named Annie Angelos confronts a violent entity, one that mocks belief. And it challenges her on her faith because it feeds on fear. And sometimes the most frightening encounters are not about the future, but about what watches us now. Here, take a listen to this. And remember, it's in my book, Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories. Annie Angelos was at home reading a book and relaxing. Been a hard week. She was tired, both mind and body. She spent a great deal of time and effort assisting a paranormal group with locating an angry spirit that was hurting a child. A great deal of effort was used to pinpoint the monster, but the paranormal team could not make the monster leave. The evil visitor did not reveal itself or its intent. The spirit was so hostile it scratched and pushed the investigators. One investigator, who was also a sensitive medium, was battered and pushed over a railing down a set of stairs. So, this team called Annie because of her reputation as being very strong, psychic, and medium. Annie needed every bit of her mental and physical strength. She met with the paranormal investigation team and the homeowners whose child was being attacked. And she listened as the investigators explained what they knew from their investigation at that home. But they could not get answers that would help them rid the home of the monster. The mother of the child, the father of the child, the homeowners, they asked Annie to help them. They pleaded with Annie to help them. The spouse asked Annie, the homeowner's spouse, begged Annie to please help them. Annie told the group she would help, and she would get the spirit out in the open. Annie led the seance as the group sat around the kitchen table. The participants followed her instructions closely to keep themselves protected from any entity that sought to hurt them. Annie asked questions. Silence. More silence. She continued to ask questions. Then a name popped up in Annie's head. She said that name, and the entity began to scream and growl. Glasses, plates, silverware on the shelves were smashed to the floor. The evil spirit shouted at the group, "I lie, I lie, I lie, I lie." The spirit growled and laughed at Annie. The spirit said, "You are a feeble woman, a girl who will be killed soon." The group jerked at the sound of the feet running away from the kitchen and up the stairs to the bedroom. Door slammed. Undaunted, Annie moved further. The group jerked at the sound of the feet running again. Through the hallway and up the stairs, Annie followed. She turned into the bedroom and came face to face with the evil spirit. Annie told the spirit to reveal its name. The spirit growled and screamed at her. As the evil spirit lunged at Annie, a bright white light engulfed her. The spirit of the white light told Annie, "Believe in your power and act now, Annie Angelos. You will be needed again very soon. Banish this spirit." The evil spirit weakened and spoke its name to Annie. "Bai Lai Lai Lai. My name is Bai Lai Lai Lai. Next time you will lose. You will lose. And you will die." Annie told the spirit to leave and never return. A window that was locked tight broke outwards as the spirit fled the room and fled into the night. Later, at her home, the doorbell rang, jerking Annie back into the present. She hesitantly went to the front door, looked through the peephole, and waited for people to speak. They came in. She invited them in. The woman said, "People need your help, Annie. They need your help now." Reluctantly, Annie agreed to listen, and then she agreed to help. She didn't want to participate at first, but she received the spirit message. The spirit said, "You must intervene. You have psychic and medium powers to help stop the evil at the haunted rectory. And the spirit will lead you and tell you how." That's an excerpt from my book, Doc Moore's collection of horror stories, stories of the supernatural, the paranormal, and the macabre. You can get that book on Amazon. And this topic and many others are in that book. So don't delay. Go get your book today. Well, what do you think? What is your point of view? Send your comments, criticism, questions, and more to Doc Moore, collectionhorror@hotmail.com. That's Doc Moore, collectionhorror@hotmail.com, or my website, www.docmoremediaproductionsllc.com. This concludes episode number 7. Please subscribe to Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel. Mahalo to all who have subscribed. Until next time, that bump in the night, you be the judge. Good night. You've been listening to Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel. Doc Moore's Collection of Horror Stories YouTube channel is sponsored by Caselet.com. Caselet. Design your unique, perfect, and very affordable phone case with AI. Create your stunning, one-of-a-kind phone case design using the power of artificial intelligence. From abstract art to nature scenes, Caselet offers a wide variety of Apple, Samsung, and Google phone cases. Caselet.com brings your vision to light. I got mine. Get yours. Shop Caselet.com. That's Caselet. Caselet. Caselet.com. www.docmoore'scollectionofhorrorsstories.com. Doc Moore's collection of horror stories and paranormal investigations, music, script, sounds, produced and performed by Stephen Moore and the Moore Hunter Band and Tanya Lynn Moore at the Moore Media Productions LLC Recording Studio, Oahu, Hawaii. All content created, produced, and copyrighted by Stephen B. Moore Sr., PhD Media Productions, LLC.